As long as we're ready to get going. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and introduce you if that's okay.
Okay.
All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Champaign Public Library. It's so nice to have you here this Tuesday evening. My name is Lauren Gramley. I am the business specialist here at the library. For those of you who don't know, we have a lot of great resources here for small businesses and for nonprofits alike, including one-on-one consultations with me, the business specialist, about any element of starting a business, from writing a business plan to looking for funding opportunities, to marketing your business, also for nonprofits. We also have a lot of great databases here where you can do market research, write a business plan, all sorts of great tools here. But probably my favorite thing is we do these amazing workshops with local experts on a variety of different topics with the hopes of helping the business community just starting your business and growing your business. We know how hard it can be. So I am going to go ahead and welcome tonight's presenter. So Sarah Michaels is the Director of Environmental Health at the Champaign-Urbana Public Health District. In her role, Sarah oversees the well-being of residents of Champaign-Urbana and Champaign County. Her work includes managing the environmental health programs for food safety, private water wells, on-site wastewater control, mosquito and tick surveillance, and body art. She has been with the district for over 30 years and has extensive experience in plan review. So I would like to welcome to the stage Sarah Michaels.
Good evening. I see a few familiar faces. Welcome. So this is kind of going to be an introductory, I'll say, crash course into plan review and what the requirements are to start a business, okay? So we work in Champaign-Urbana Public Health District, and then also we contract with services for Champaign County. So even though there's two health departments, it's the same thing, right? Well, maybe this won't go. There we go. So I'm the Director of Environmental Health. I started out as an inspector, just count the years past that. I obtained a degree, a Bachelor of Science in Environmental Health from Illinois State University. And then I started over here, that's right. And then I have stayed for 31 years at the health department. I love what I do, as you could probably tell. It's actually helped with starting as an inspector and following that flow all the way. So I'm familiar with every part and every aspect of environmental health. So we're just going to focus on the food part today. So here's the question I get asked. It is not uncommon. I have open office hours every week for general questions, and 9 out of 10 times the people that come in, this is their question. How do I get started? Okay? So I'm going to just start through and then give you some options. And then after we're done, I can also answer questions. I also have information if you're ready to launch that business. I have paperwork for you, okay? So where do we start? So first off, I always tell people, well, what are you wanting to do first, okay? There's different verbiage for the different type of permits that we issue at the health department, okay? So we have a temporary food establishment permit. Those are for your fairs and festivals, usually with a special event, okay? And so we do require the minimal food safety standards for a temporary permit, okay? So then this launches the next step into cottage food operations. It has exploded in the last probably year and a half. And we're going to kind of get in there, but cottage food, certain food and drink, you have restrictions on it, but you can make these and produce these in a home kitchen, okay? The problem with home kitchens is that is not an approved source for a retail food establishment permit or an annual health permit. So sometimes people may start as a cottage food operation, right? And then they kind of figure out their customer base. And then we move into an annual permit where you start having connections. You actually find facilities that you could possibly operate out of or even build a place. And yes, I have success stories on those as well, okay? An annual health permit, these are what you see, bricks and mortar, mobile establishments. You have to go through what we call a plan review process. And so we're going to get into that, okay? So here's the temporary food permit application and operation. If you look at this, it's usually with a special event. Your menu is restricted on a temporary, okay? These are your lemonade shake-ups, your corn dogs, okay? All food preparation must be done on site or in a kitchen that's approved. Sometimes you will have an organization that has a kitchen that they are allowed to use, okay? No home prepared foods allowed, okay? These are your fairs and festivals, the county fair, okay? Cottage food, okay? This was by state law. This is the Home to Market Act, okay? It allows consumers, or not consumers, operations to be produced in a home kitchen. There are restrictions on that. Most of them are baked goods, majority, okay? And the county where the operation is located is where you receive your registration, okay? It is not a permit, it is a registration, okay? So last year, this time, I had, it's just ironic, 37 registrations for cottage food. I put this slide together a month ago. I'm up to 73, and I have at least 6 on the board to be reviewed. It has just, it's crazy, but in a good way, okay? So this is a nice little segue into starting a business, especially, you know, you saw the sourdough bread businesses and cookies, okay? This is how a majority of them started, cottage food, okay? You still have to do a submittal of paperwork, menu items, sometimes testing of your food products, and majority of those, that testing will go forward with your application or your registration. Every year you are required to reapply for cottage food, so that is on a calendar year, okay? And if you're interested in cottage food, put everything on there that you're possibly wanting to sell, because you can't redo it until the following year, or if you do, it's a new application, okay? So, benefits of a cottage food operation, okay? You can kind of come up with it, but your lower barriers to entry, homemade food products, you build a customer base, you get to test products, okay? And then you start to increase revenue, okay? Restrictions. They are required to have this statement on there. This product was produced in a home kitchen, not inspected by a health authority, okay? You do have to do that, but do keep in mind, cottage food cannot be provided to a retail establishment. Those are your facilities that have an annual health permit. In the actual food code, an unapproved food source is from a licensed facility. A home kitchen cannot be an approved source, okay? So I will have sometimes a cottage food operator that thinks that they can give their products to a cafe, not approved. You are restricted to direct sales to a consumer. So, but it has extended it. I do have cottage food operations that now set up at fairs and festivals, but it can't be a third party that redistributes those products. You actually have to have consumer-based sales only, so directly to the consumer. However, there is one consideration. During my introduction, we talked about I have been schooled in all the factors of environmental health: food, water, and sewage, okay? So one factor for a cottage food operation is if you are in the country, there's things or parameters that you have to meet. So water well testing, if you're on a private water well, you have to provide samples of your water to make sure it's safe. And also septic systems. You have a residential septic system. So in the town or in the cities, it's out of sight, out of mind, right? The sewage goes away, right? However, when you have a private septic system, that extra fat and oils that you would have from baking or for grease production, that actually can have a negative effect on your personal septic system for your house. So make sure you account for that type of stuff. And you're also going to have an increased water flow. Okay? And also sometimes added chemicals will have a kind of effect on your septic system as well. So beyond just the food service, okay? So the next part, we don't want to do that. Let's open a restaurant, okay? So we have what we consider a plan review process. And the plan review process is kind of a step-by-step guide of what we're going to look for in order for you to properly operate that that food establishment. Okay? So we're going to go through a plan review process. Anybody have questions yet? No? Okay. So what is the plan review? Okay? It's a process where we go through all your plans before construction or remodeling. Sometimes we don't get to know what has happened and the construction has already began, okay? But our whole focus is to plan right and build right before you open a business, okay? So it helps with issues with layout, menu, procedures, food handling, and we also try to prevent future risk factors of an inspection, okay? So where to begin? You have so many different factors when you're opening, say for instance, a brick and mortar, and sometimes it gets overwhelming. So you may have city codes, you may have county ordinances, you are also going to get into plumbing, electrical, foundation, okay? So I'm going to help you. I always recommend to start with the health department, okay? Because it's hard to go back and change a foundation or structure once you've already got it done, right? If you include us in the beginning, then we can help you plan for that type of thing, okay? So you'll have rough-in inspections and city inspections, but start with the health department. I also have a bigger amount of time. Our wait list for picking up a project is 30 business days, and we are going nonstop, okay? I have one plan review specialist assigned that goes through the plan review process, okay? And so it's first come, first serve. Now I can do open office hours and answer the basic questions, okay? But the plan review construction guide is kind of the template to get started. If you read that, you know exactly what I will require for plan review, okay? When are plans required? Before construction, a conversion of existing structure. This would be like a change of ownership or possibly taking over an operation, okay? Or a remodel, which would require a change in type of food establishment or different equipment, okay? These are the times that I need to be involved to help you out. What type of restaurant reviews do we do? Everything. So, full service restaurants, hospitals, daycares, correctional facilities, then also concession stands, bars and taverns that have mixed drink. Because ice is considered food, I'm involved. The only type of facility I would not be involved with would be a facility that has non-potentially hazardous prepackaged goods. Even a grocery store that has potentially hazardous food in a refrigerator, you need a health permit. Okay? So the importance of plan review. So enable the regulator and operator to be on the same page from the beginning. Okay? Engage all stakeholders. This is where everybody's going to come together and we're going to work together towards a common goal. Then I'm going to implement food safety measures or considerations during your plan review. And then if there's things that need to be changed, I'm going to require you to have an idea on how to correct that or how you're going to solve that. Okay? And then ultimately ensure proper layout and flow in the food establishment. Okay? These are risk factors that we look for during plan review. They're in the food code. These are why we ask questions. We require you to turn in standard operating procedures. Okay? These are the risk factors that contribute to foodborne illness. Okay? Improper holding temperatures, cold and hot, inadequate cooking, contaminated equipment, so proper sanitizing of equipment, food from unsafe sources, no home prepared food, and poor personal hygiene. Okay? I always like those hand sinks. I want to make sure that there is an accessible hand sink for all your operations. And then this just kind of summarizes. When I look at your flow, I'm going to try to prevent cross-contamination. I'm going to make sure that your facility is properly designed so that we're eliminating those hazards. Okay? So, I have the following steps that you do in order to obtain an annual health permit. Okay? So we talked a little bit about the plan review packet, and I'm going to go through each set of the process so that you guys know exactly what needs to be done. Okay? So this is for any food and drink establishment, including mobiles. Mobiles are as well required to go through plan review. Okay? So first off, the plan review packet, which I have brought them with me today. And this kind of goes through, this is the application itself. So you'll have your food establishment information, your applicant, okay? And then the owner may be different. And then I require the following stuff to be submitted with your plan review. So we're going to go through this. Here's the application. The plan review fee is based on the square footage, how big your facility is. I don't count the dining room, just the kitchen facility. Okay? Your proposed menu. And this is the most essential part of your plan review. I can't help you if I can't see a menu. Okay? Menu is essential. Your site plan, and that one shows basically your layout, your parking lot, your dumpsters, your back door, right? Full-size plans. I need to look at the layout of the kitchen in each area. So you'll have Different areas within your kitchen, toilet rooms, your dry storage, your walk-in coolers, your cook's line, your produce prep area. I need to see all those drawn to scale. And a finished schedule. Finished schedule is floors, walls, and ceiling. What materials are you using for those? Okay. Square footage. Here's water source and sewage disposal. Okay. Municipal is city, and well or septic. Okay. When you have a facility that's in the county, you do have to have some considerations for the sewage and water supply. And then we have you sign that you have read and you understand the plan review guide requirements. I always tell people, read it. I know it's long and boring, but each section is individually put in there on what we look for in the health department. Okay? So, on our website, these are the additional documents you can find. The plan review construction guide, our food code, so that you know we're not making stuff up, the mobile food service requirements, mobile unit, we have a little FAQ that we put together for it, okay? Water heater workshop. We will always make sure that you have adequate water for your operation. And we have a nice little Excel spreadsheet. You can put in your formulas for the equipment you're using. It will tell you how many gallon of water heater you need. It will do it for you. So each part of the construction guide is broken into different sections. So anything you want to do, you can scroll to it and go right to our requirements. So when we do our plan review and we send you a letter and say, hey, can you tell me where or what are you using to store all your dry storage? Where are you putting that? But I don't understand. I don't understand what you're requiring. It's all written out for you. Okay? So step 2, once you've gotten all the necessary documents together and you're ready to submit, bring it and drop it off at the health department. Okay? First come, first serve. So it goes on a list as soon as you submit all your required documentation. Then, while you're waiting for your plans to be reviewed, 30 business days, you have time to complete the other steps, okay? Contact the city, village, municipality, whoever other jurisdiction that you're going to deal with. Contact them and tell them that you are ready to open a restaurant and you've turned in the stuff to the health department, okay? You also can work on all your food handling requirements. You have food handling certificates, or you have your manager certification certificates. Okay? This is essential for any operation. Now, when we're first in the planning stage, you're not going to have employees hired a lot of the time, not yet, but you can at least start that and get your key personnel with their appropriate certifications. Okay? Complete a standard operating procedure worksheet. We have the questions that we want. We give them to you. You just have to fill out that form that you know what you're going to be doing. Okay? You actually have time to submit that after you turn in your plan review packet. You have 30 business days to finish your SOPs before they're pulled up for review. You'll need to get your SOPs in. Contact the Illinois Department of Revenue. You can do that online. It's usually issued pretty quick, within a day. That will be required as far as to obtain your health permit. You'll need that business tax number. Okay? And then also if you're operating in Champaign-Urbana or Champaign County, you'll contact their finance departments so they can make sure that they're aware and meet their requirements as well for paperwork. Okay? All right. So step 4, we have gotten all your information. We have gotten your plan review completed. So we have 2 steps, right? Either plans are approved, no modifications are needed, nothing needs to be addressed. You have the green check. It's time for you to move forward, okay? However, if we issue a letter that requires corrections, this is on your timeline. We need to know how you're going to correct those deficiencies, okay? We spell it out. This looks like it needs to be addressed. Your menu item here, you're missing a piece of equipment, okay? If you proceed with construction before you get approval, that is on you. Do not make that mistake. That's a costly mistake. If something needs to be changed or there's not enough room for your 3-compartment sink, you may have messed up the flow of your establishment. Do not make that mistake. If you have something that has to be fixed and you've already constructed it, you're stuck. I cannot stress this enough. Do not move forward. Step 5, pre-operational inspections. Our schedule is based on you guys. So you tell us when you're ready for an inspection. We'll come. Usually we do like a punch list, a final one, probably 2 weeks prior to. And then when you're ready for your final, we come, everything's good. Now the real work begins, right? Because you get a permit and you can start operation. So the menu, when I talked earlier, the menu is the starting point of any plan review process. I can have the same menu item on 2 different establishments' menu, but their flow and operational procedure for that may be completely different. You may have different steps. So you have to remember the menu determines everything, first and foremost. Okay? Pay attention to your flow. Okay? So as an example, I can't have raw meat preparation in your produce preparation area, cross-contamination. I have to have designated areas. It could be a table, but you can't do the same sink, the same table, right? That's a huge risk factor. So. Now I went through a lot of information, and I am happy to answer specific questions and provide guidance. I do open office hours at the health department on Wednesdays from 10 to 11:30 every week. I am always willing to help. So right now, I think active permits in the city limits of Champaign-Urbana is about 990 permits, just Champaign-Urbana. And that does not count the other 280 in the county. So, how about questions for me?
I got something just before you start. Just because I do the plan reviews. If you are looking at an existing facility, even if it has been a restaurant, there could still be big problems or big changes because it has to be brought up to the current food code. So for example, in the past, I've had places that are on a septic that the septic before was grandfathered in because it was an existing place. The restaurant's been there for 30, 40 years, and now they have to spend tens of thousands of dollars to bring up that system, and they've already signed a lease, they've already done all these things. So that's why she does say come to us first, because you do want to know those kind of things that we may talk about. And mobiles too, you're not looking at just one permit, you're looking at most likely 2 permits, because you need your permit and a commissary permit. And with commissaries, like, just because a place could be a commissary doesn't mean it could be a commissary necessarily for you. So it has to have your space, your needs, all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
On mobile, I heard that you're not allowed to have the 3 compartment sinks anymore. Is that true?
Okay, so this is the breakdown of a mobile, okay? We require an adequate sized sink to fit your biggest piece of equipment, and then have adequate air drying space and soil drain board space. So that's a 10-foot sink. If you put a 10-foot sink in your mobile, where are you gonna have room for anything else? So a majority of our mobiles, do not have warewashing on their mobile. They have a commissary permit where they can go back and do warewashing, maybe some food storage, but your mobile is not big enough. You're trying to do a compact design of a whole kitchen in a mobile trailer, right? So warewashing, we approve you to do a commissary base that does the sink.
So you have to apply for the commissary separately, or it will go in tandem if you are applying for a mobile?
Well, it depends. If you're building a commissary, you will actually have to go through the plan review for that commissary. If you have an idea of where your commissary is, we will just basically vet it to make sure your operation will fit in there and they have room for you.
Speaking of commissaries, do you guys have maintain a list of commissaries that are here locally that you could?
We do not maintain that. Majority of places, it's by word of contact. There are permits you can do searches for that are actually labeled commissaries that will come up on that inspection database that you can review and find out inspections. We don't have as many commissaries as we used to. We have actual commissaries 4?
Yes, but I would say that just a place doesn't need to be labeled as a commissary to be a commissary for you. So say you do late night stuff, you could find a breakfast place that doesn't operate, and then they're there in the morning, and then you're there in the afternoon. It's just you have enough space. You can't be in each other's, over each other, working in the same space at the same time. So it has to be separate for that.
Sometimes that's a win-win. You have a late night facility, but the kitchen doesn't get used in the morning. So a lot of the times it's asking for a partnership with another operation.
What about your designated areas, produce versus poultry? Can you put in your plan that you are just doing those preparations at completely separate time frames, so you're not doing them in the...
It gets a little weird because I have not ever found that people are able to break that off or break it up because we're trying to get everything mass produced, and so it typically does not work.
Is there anything simplified for something like a cookie, if you're only doing a cookie?
A cookie?
Business, yeah.
I mean, yeah. So your menu items match with the equipment you're going to provide. So if you have a simplistic or easier process like a non-TCS product, you don't have to require all the refrigeration and the.
But Champaign still doesn't allow for you to do it from your home, right?
If you do cottage food operation, you can.
That was at the very beginning of
Okay,
the...
sorry.
No, you're fine.
That's okay.
Yeah, you'll want to look up cottage food for that.
On our website, we have everything listed. That would be under the regulations for non-regulated cottage food, and it has a whole section. It gives you the application, it gives you the do's and don'ts, everything. Yes?
Are there any special requirements for food pantries?
Food pantries? Typically, yes. A lot of the food pantries will have refrigeration or freezers. That's where we'll get involved with a health permit. Now, food pantries, they don't get charged a health permit, but they at least have to have the minimal standards, commercial equipment, cleanable floors, walls, and ceilings, and no home-prepared foods still.
If you're wanting to just get started too and not having your refrigerated products, like just cereals, canned items and stuff like that, that requires no permit.
And no approval.
Yeah, we don't need to get involved in that.
Yes,
What is your process time for a cottage food permit?
30 business days. Yeah, it's just, it has been just as crazy as our plan review process as far as keeping up on it, so it is the same. I have one designated staff that does cottage food registrations.
So for all kind of this business, what kind of immigration status necessary?
What?
Immigration status like permanent residency or?
What kind of immigration status can they have if he wants to have a cottage food?
Yeah.
Doesn't
We don't.
matter.
We don't have anything to do with that. That's no restriction on us.
Use a work permit. Use a work permit.
Does he have to have a work permit?
No.
It doesn't matter.
Not for us.
You may have to talk to the city as far as
Like tax.
income or
wise, that
tax and
matters,
stuff like
we
that,
do
but
the
that,
IRS
yeah,
stuff.
that wouldn't be, we have no restrictions.
We have no restrictions. Okay.
If a business agrees to be a commissary, does that trigger any additional inspections on their end?
On their end, no. But you'll be required typically to have your own permit from there, and then they would have their own. So the same inspection would not count for both. Because I want to see you operate out of that commissary and not them. Hold on, she's first.
Someone behind me.
Yep, right there.
So if I have a cottage food operation, but I want to be able to sell to a business, can I rent a commissary and make baked items there to then sell to a cafe so they can sell them?
Two different businesses.
They can't.
You're either cottage food or you're an annual health permit. You can't operate as both.
So can I, if I did an annual health permit, but I didn't actually have a brick and mortar myself, I just rented somewhere, how would that?
You're going to go through the plan review process and get it as your base of operations from that location.
From the commissary?
It's kind of like a commissary.
Okay,
It would serve as your,
my home base.
The state has made a distinction. You can't even use the same name. So like your commissary can't have or like if you were to have a cottage food business, it has to be separate menu, separate name from whatever you do in a retail food space. So you wouldn't be able to cross over there at all. They are very strict on that.
no confusion there.
And is it, like, I don't live in a county where there is a commissary, so is that a big deal that I wouldn't live in the same county as where the
Nope. You can get a permit wherever, as long as you are operating out of a licensed establishment and you want to get a permit out of there as well, it's fine. No restrictions on that.
So sorry, a commissary permit and a annual health permit there is a distinct difference?
It's basically the same.
Okay.
So typically your mobile will actually have to have what we consider a brick and mortar, right? I have facilities that are used as commissaries. They don't have commissary in the name, but they have availability on their kitchen. They don't use it all the time. And so they will actually sign an agreement that they can be used as a commissary. Yes.
Is it possible to have a cottage food business, but then acquire a temporary food permit to sell food on site, like at an event?
Cottage food allows you to do that. You don't need a temporary. If you have cottage food registration and you're direct sale to a consumer, you don't need a temporary permit for that. Those are two different sets of rules.
Well, for like an iced drink, because you said ice was, you're like making the food at the event, and it's not prepackaged.
That's a temporary,
Right.
but I would not approve any home prepared foods for a temporary.
You wouldn't be able to do an
It's either
ice
one or the
drink
other.
as that.
Splitting the two.
Yeah.
It's either one or the other, right? So your cottage food operation is typically packaged, labeled, no on-site dispensing, and a home-prepared food. An annual health permit or a temporary, no home-prepared food, and it's open site, and food has to be prepared.
And you can't hold both at the same time.
Nope, one or the other, you got to choose. Yes?
If you have a cottage food, and can you, when you're selling it directly to consumers, can you have samples where you're giving them samples of your product while you're selling it?
No.
What you were just saying?
Not under cottage food.
Okay, so you just have to, they just have to trust that it might taste good.
Yes. Word of mouth.
Maybe you could like sell like a little piece for 25 cents.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you know,
Or you could pre-package a sample,
Yeah.
like in a baggie, if you want to try this, but you can't like a pair of tongs and give them a sample. Because, I know that you probably, if you've gone to the farmer's market, you see that they have a sampling certificate, but that's under the food code for retail food sales. I know, we get just as confused. Don't worry, don't worry. Whoever's next.
It might sound silly, but how a restaurant is not considered a consumer for a cottage food operator?
A restaurant?
Yes.
Because it's not an approved source. A cottage food operation is a home baked or prepared product.
Okay.
That exemption on that, with that farm to table, well, I can't get it on the screen, but how do I turn the screen back on? There's magic powers here beyond my control. Okay. So cottage food is a very distinct registration. It's not an approved permit for retail sales.
We're not going in your homes and looking at stuff. Like that's why you have like the label that says this is an unapproved.
Yeah, so you have
We're not doing it.
the Farmer to Market Act plus the warning statement below, which says it's uninspected. So you have the Home to Market Act, and it's certain products that can be made in your home kitchen, right? Thank you. So you have this, but then it has these are your restrictions, right? So this required statement on the top. So this is why we keep this really separate. It's either one or the other. Yes?
For the temporary food permit for, let's say, events, so you do like a pop-up restaurant, how does that work? How do you, like, yeah, if somebody else is hosting, you're cooking in someone else's kitchen, what kind of permit do you need for that? Is it just a temporary?
It's typically a temporary, but the temporary is only issued for what we consider a simple menu.
Okay.
And it has to be associated with a special event.
Okay. That can include like fundraisers or things like that. I know that that certain people
Churches,
do, or
groups,
raising
organizations
money
raising money for funding for stuff.
Okay, so anything that's, say someone is hosting a baby shower at their house and they hire you to cook, that is just kind of off the books?
That's private. That's
okay.
private event.
The cook would not have to hold any sort of certificate is what I'm asking.
If you're hiring, the expectation is it comes from an approved caterer. Now, if it's your friend and they're cooking for you,
Sure.
No permits, no nothing needed for
But say
that.
you wanted to start that as a business, I want to be a caterer, but I only cook at your house.
That's a private.
That's a private
and
chef.
As long as you do everything in their kitchen, then we don't get involved. If you do something off-site, cook or prep or
Sure.
any of that kind of stuff, then that requires a separate permit. We do have a catering document, so if you reach out by emailing asking about that, they'll send it to me and I can send you that so you can see the clear distinction.
Yeah.
Private chef, it's in their home kitchen. But if you start going into another operation to cook and serve, that requires an annual health permit. Yep.
Shrimp at my house, you're like, no.
I don't want anything to do with that. Nope. You're on your own. I think you're next.
Does the commissary and the main business location have to be in the same county? Like, I'm up in Paxton, like if I had somewhere where I could have my commissary kitchen up there, but let's say I had a food truck in Champaign County where I mainly operated, is that okay? Is there an issue with that, or do they have to be both in the same county?
We have allowed some very distinct
Operations.
stuff. If they're like just over the county line and they're like, so say you're in Paxton and you're operating in Rantoul, like it could potentially work out. But
And it depends on what you're using that commissary for.
yes.
Because if you're just using it for storage and warewashing, we really don't need a health permit out of there if you're doing most of your stuff on the truck.
If you're prepping and stuff like that, then it gets a little bit more complicated because then we have to work with their health department in conjunction. And
Yeah, that's why.
it does get more, I will say could be possible, but it does get way more complicated.
Because I also have to find out your procedures. Like,
Yeah.
you have somebody making barbecue, but you have a lot of cook, cool, reheat. That's a whole
that's-
more complicated process.
And barbecue is what I'm talking about, so yeah, that's,
Yeah, it might be a problem.
yeah.
Yes.
If a quarter food operator wants to improve his home kitchen, for example, is he allowed or she allowed to make another kitchen unit within their home? Is that a problem for the health department?
You're not going to get a health permit from us for a home operation.
Yeah, but the point is, if they are not using essentially their home kitchen, they are using another kitchen which is located in their home. Is that a problem for the health department?
I believe that is a problem. I believe the state had said that you could not build a business separate from your home kitchen.
If you were to build a separate kitchen that was completely separate from the rest of your house, it would have to meet all of our standards of a brick and mortar kitchen, which honestly, one, gets expensive, and two, there's also regulations within city limits as far as businesses, like
And
zoning and stuff like that. So it can become very complicated and again, very quickly get expensive because we could require like a hood. And then
Or
how
a
are you gonna put
septic
hood
system.
on a house, like a commercial hood. You know what I mean? It's a lot.
Even if you're still producing cottage food.
It wouldn't be.
It wouldn't be cottage food anymore. As soon as you're not making it into your home kitchen, it's no longer cottage food.
That could be.
No, cottage is very strict. It's your house, your home, your kitchen.
Yeah, but
That's it. Like
okay.
they don't make any exceptions for that.
If you're going to build a separate building, you better get your zoning figured out, and you're going to build it to code for an annual health permit.
Okay. Right.
So to go back to her question with the chef, if you are already a certified chef, do you need the permit to do the cottage?
Are you doing it out of your home kitchen?
Yeah, I'm asking, well, if you want to, can you? Because you are a certified chef.
I feel that it's probably just complicated, but I mean, if you're doing a cottage food operation, I don't look at the actual chef being certified or licensed. I'm looking at the food operation. So it just kind of depends on what extent you're doing. I mean, you can be a cottage food registration. I don't look at certificates for.
I'm saying, because if you are a private chef, do you need to? You don't need the cottage thing or whatever.
No. Well, a private chef does it in their client's house.
They
not
can't do it in
your
their house.
Okay.
So you
It's
would go
just
to
to
wherever
the
the party
house.
was, and you're making and serving, and everything is in their home.
Being prepared.
But you can't prepare in your home kitchen and take it.
Gotcha.
You're a private chef in that person's residence. Yes.
So just to make sure I'm understanding correctly, for the cottage food thing, everyone though that works in the kitchen still has to take the Certified Food Protection Manager certification. So there still is like
Yes.
a couple $100
Yes.
like thing that you
Yes.
have to, yeah, so
You would still be required to have that.
yeah, okay.
Yep.
Expires every 5 years.
Pardon?
Every 5 years they have to renew.
Yes, yes. Well, not renew, just take the class over again. Used to expire.
For the temporary food permit, does the entire product, like every aspect of it need to be made on site? For example, like for fried Oreos or something, the batter needs to be made on site, it can't be like
That or an approved kitchen, yeah.
approved kitchen.
But you could make that on site, but no home prepared.
So if you're running a food truck and you have the managerial certificate and you have someone on there to help, do they have to be food safety or?
So you have kind of the main person in charge has the managerial certificate, manager certification, okay? Everybody else that works under him can have food handlers. But your menu requires there has to be one certified food handler. At all times, food is prepped and served. So minimum.
Leave them alone.
Yeah.
If you were the only food certified, you'd have to be on the truck with them.
24/7. Every time food is prepped and served. That's why they usually will do a shift where they'll cover like an 8-hour shift and they'll figure out how many people they need to get certified as opposed to the food handling certificate, which is a 1-hour food safety class. Yes?
Does Illinois allow like, I think it was in Nashville, and they had like a charcuterie, almost mobile cart. And you could like pick olives and all kinds of stuff like that. I don't know what kind of certification that was. We were in the park and you just went up and you picked all the little stuff you wanted and you paid like $10. Did I say that word wrong? Why is everyone marking?
No, it's charcuterie.
No.
It's just funny. It's a topic that we've been talking about, so that's funny.
There was a crepes one and you could pick what toppings you want on your crepes and all kinds of fruit. Does Illinois allow anything like that or no?
You could, you just have to go through the requirements of most of the carts I see are non-refrigerated. So you have to have refrigerated, you have to have customer protection, and where is my hand washing on those charcuterie carts?
I didn't buy anything.
There's nothing. Yeah. Now, could you do prepackaged? Yes. But when you do like a charcuterie cart, which I literally just saw this picture yesterday, and it is non-refrigerated and no hand washing. That's a red flag.
But how would you what would that be under? Would that be a whole mobile cart, like a whole, the whole stuff? Yeah.
Yep. And then you'd have to have a commissary in order to cut all the or prep all the products.
Yeah.
The only
it was like the hot dog
exception.
man just rolling around, and I thought, how are we getting away with that?
Yep.
The only exception to that part, because technically we have had one in this county, and it's because it was only used for private weddings.
Yeah.
So the rest of the business did not include that cart. Any public events, any normal business, it was only private weddings because we do not regulate private events. So.
Correct.
I guess that's how the home chef gets away with things, is he's doing it at somebody's home. It's not regulated.
Private chef. They're expected to buy groceries and cook them at that client's house.
But if you want to do private, if you want to do catering, like please know that a lot of the events that you, like event spaces that you go to may require you to have a health permit. So you can't just, they won't just let anybody in because they don't want to be associated with a foodborne outbreak. So they want somebody else to like have that. So
there's still a liability issue.
But a majority of them in this county do want you to have that.
So is that for, how does that work? Not just a manager food handler certificate, you're saying they own?
A facility.
So if a wedding venue may only have the bar, they don't provide any food. So they want any caterer who comes into their space to have.
Not prepping it there.
No, they just want them to have a license. So like it's not like just because you're private. Yeah, it's in a private event. They may not want you unless you're certified.
But many times they require you to have insurance up to $1 million or something crazy.
Yeah.
Yep. True.
So many businesses can't even be the caterer.
Right.
Can you sell out a commissary? Like if you don't have anywhere, like say you're in the process of getting a food truck and you have a commissary. I've seen things online where people do like, they cook and they get like Uber Eats or whatever to come and deliver the food or whatever.
If that's approved in your plan, absolutely.
There's a term for that.
Yeah, I can't think of
Ghost kitchen?
Ghost kitchen, there we go.
Yeah.
We have, especially after COVID, we had quite a few ghost kitchens that popped up.
Also,
Some licensed, some not.
Also in that plan, because a lot of people are like, I'm gonna work out of this commissary. Well, you may be sharing that commissary with 10 other people, and it may be first come, first serve, who signs up first, or they may already have scheduled out time. So it's like what you think, or if you're doing it for events, you have to also consider that someone else who is also a caterer out of that may sign up for that date first, and then you're out of luck because you can't operate when they operate. So take those things into consideration when looking at your spaces, because honestly, probably the less people, depending on how you want to serve, may be better.
Also, my advice as far as construction prior to, submitting plans. Another big thing we are constantly running into is we've already signed the lease. And by the time they turn in plans, they're 90 days in rear. Don't do that. Turn in your plans. I can't rush the process.
Thank you, ladies, so much.
You're welcome. How about, what, you had a question?
Will you provide food safety training or training for how to handle the foods and certified training?
Those, we have a list on our website as well that has all the approved courses. There's 6 or 7. A lot of them have gone online, and we have kind of indicated if they do Spanish, English, if there's other languages.
Parkland has one coming up.
So, yes. We don't provide it as far as the health department. There's requirements that if you're over a certain population, the health department can't provide that, but there's plenty of companies that provide that in the area.
Are you the person to talk to get put on that list?
Well, our administrative assistants, first come, first serve, put you on that list once you turn it in.
Once I turn it in.
Your plan review, or do you want on my office visits?
No, your list as a certified instructor proctor for.
Just email the office and they'll put you on there. Now, I have brought plan review packets if anybody is ready to plunge into starting your business. I have them here. Is there any other questions?
Anything else while they're here?
I have a wealth of knowledge. I can give you all kinds of stuff.
I guess I'll ask, so for the cottage food industry, or for the cottage food thing, so everyone that makes food has to be certified, or has to get the certification. And then you have to have the signage.
Yes.
You have to have that, and it all has to be prepackaged. It has to have the labels. Do you guys require a plan of work or anything like that? Like, I don't know how to say this, but like, do I have to notify you guys? But if I get my certification and I produce